Hello and welcome to The Hub on CGTN and Wang Guan in Beijing. It's been a century in the waiting, but here we go. Paris welcomes back the Olympic Games with a sensational opening ceremony, making itself a true movable feast as the city renews its commitment to unity, diversity, and athletic excellence. The timeless spirit envisioned by Pierre de Courbertin some 120 years ago resonates louder now than ever. What does Paris have to offer for this spectacular event? What enduring legacy has the Olympic Games brought to humanity? And how can the Olympic spirit continue to spread in favor of global unity? Earlier in Paris, France, I've explored what makes these games unique. Meet Diane de Navacelle de Coubertin, director of the School Sport Committee. As a descendant of the illustrious Olympian, she's transmitting his legacy and thoughts, passing on the vision that sport is a basic right that every person should enjoy. How do you feel about the fact that there's such enthusiasm from the Chinese artists and the field of Chinese arts, drawing and doing sculptures around your great-great-granduncle, and then bring them over here?
Yeah, it's really exciting because we're having the games coming in, and it's also the anniversary of the friendship between France and China this year. So I think it's a nice symbol of making more connections between the two countries. And I'm very touched by the fact that all those artists worked and thought and created on this subject. And I hope it inspired them beyond the man, but for their own life also.
So Diane, how does it feel to be a descendant, to be a family member of Pierre de Courbertin?
Well, I guess it's like any family member, I would say, when I was a child. But as I grew up, I guess I realized that he was someone known around the world and that he had done some things around sports for many, many people. And when I went to the first games I personally went to was in Pyeongchang in 2018.
In Korea?
Yes, in Korea. And before that, it was my father's generation who was representing the family. And so when I went and I really lived those games, I saw the energy, I saw the people, the athletes, how it reunited the world through sports. I realized it's like all the things I had heard since I was a child, they all made sense. All of a sudden, it's like a puzzle that came together, And I realized it was something important, and I was privileged maybe to be part of this family and to be able to have a voice to keep things going on and to make sure that his ideas are still well understood today, because it's 130 years after he created the games already.
Yeah, I mean, people are fascinated by what sport can do, right, for nations. When you see North Korea and South Korea athletes going under the stadium during the Parade of Nations as one country under one flag.
Yeah.
And also, if you look at so many touching stories in Iran and the USA playing against each other in the World Cup, stuff like that. What do you think is a legacy of your great-great-granduncle? In what ways has he inspired people from around the world, uniting around sport?
He believed that sports was an amazing tool to unite people. And it was for him important to have, when he created the modern Olympic Games, he was inspired from the antique games. In the antique games, it was only in Greece. But Pierre wanted to use the games to make the world meet. And he wanted those games to travel around the world so that the cultures of the world could meet one another. And if they met through sports, and if they talked and went through the three Olympic values are friendship, respect, and excellence. If you meet people, you get to know them. Instead of being afraid or going to war because you don't know who is against you, maybe you'll start by discussing and finding solutions together. So that is really one red thread for Pierre de Courbertin, is that sport was a way of contributing and helping peace in the world.
As a French, what are your hopes and expectations for the Paris Olympics?
Well, they're high. Of course they're high, because I hope it's going to be amazing games. Last time we had them was exactly 100 years ago.
Last time Paris hosted the Olympics?
Exactly
Wow.
100 years ago.
People didn't realize it's that long.
It's exactly 100, and that's also, it's a double anniversary because it was Pierre's last games in France, in his country, as a president of the IOC. And he brought the games back to France for the second time at that time because he wanted to have beautiful games in his country before he retired. And he said, if they are beautiful games in 1924, I will retire. And he did 1 year later in 25. So it's 100 years exactly since the games were in Paris. So it's a big, big event. Symbolically, it's high. Also because he created the Olympic Games on June 23rd, 1894, which is exactly 130 years this year. And this is when he did the speech at the Sorbonne in France, which was the reestablishment of the modern Olympic Games. So it's a very highly symbolic date, and it's a real chance to be able to live that in one's life, you know, to have the games, as we say, at home. Not only at home because it's my country, but at home where the founder of the modern Olympic Games created them. So I hope they're going to be amazing.
I hope too, and cheers for Team China and also Team France.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
And I hope to see you again and to see great athletes from China competing.
Yeah. On the Paris 2024 Olympics, I spoke to Frédéric Lafferière, president of the Paris Olympics and Sports Committee. He highlighted the Games' complete inclusiveness and full gender parity, with a focus on sustainable development and low-energy transportation. So, Mr. President, first of all, congratulations on Paris, holding this very important Olympic Games. How do you expect this game to turn out?
Nous accompagnons les projets de l'organisation des Jeux Olympiques, les projets qui sont autour, comme celui-là, cette exposition magnifique qui a été initiée par des sculpteurs chinois et d'autres choses dans Paris jusqu'aux Jeux et après les Jeux. Nous n'organisons pas les Jeux, c'est le COJO qui organise les Jeux avec Tony Estanguet. Nous accompagnons l'organisation.
We know the Tokyo Olympics was one that was affected by COVID, and this is the first Olympics after COVID, and the motto for the manifestation for Olympics are different. Previously it was higher, stronger, faster, and now Thomas Bach added together. What is your understanding of this new motto of the Olympic Games? Higher, faster, stronger, and together.
C'est la devise olympique. On a rajouté ensemble depuis Tokyo, je crois, et c'est nécessaire. À Paris, vous avez remarqué que le logo des Jeux Olympiques et des Jeux Paralympiques est le même. Il y a une inclusion totale. La parité homme-femme va être identique, c'est la même pour la première fois, même si Tokyo s'en est rapproché. Et donc, ce sont des Jeux qui ouvrent vers une ère nouvelle, puisque on a fait attention au développement durable, on a fait attention à des transports peu coûteux en énergie, etc. Donc, c'est des Jeux qui, je pense, montreront la voie pour les suivants d'une économie qui doit être favorable à l'environnement, par exemple. Enfin, déjà, à l'environnement, c'est très important.
And also, Chinese President Xi called for ceasefire, no war, during the Paris Olympics.
Yes.
He said no war, during Paris Olympics.
Yes.
What do you think of that?
It's very difficult now because the war is in Europe with Russia and Ukraine, Israël, Rafah. C'est un moment difficile.
La vista de président Xi.
Oui. La trêve olympique, elle est souhaitable, bien sûr. Elle a rarement été écoutée, malgré tout, quand il y avait des conflits. Mais elle est inscrite à l'ONU, maintenant. Donc, on peut espérer. Le sport et les Jeux Olympiques ont traversé l'histoire de notre siècle. depuis 1896. Ils sont toujours là. Et il faut espérer vraiment que les Jeux aient lieu à Paris, qu'ils ne soient pas empêchés. Parce que les seuls moments où il n'y a pas eu les Jeux, ce sont des moments extrêmement graves dans l'histoire. C'est la Première Guerre mondiale, 1916, il n'y a pas eu de Jeux. Et là, 1940 et 1944, il n'y a pas eu de Jeux, c'était la Deuxième Guerre mondiale. Et la dernière fois, c'est le Covid en 2020 qui a été reporté en 2021. Mais à chaque fois que les Jeux n'ont pas lieu, c'est une catastrophe mondiale. Donc il faut espérer vraiment très fort qu'ils aient lieu à Paris. Si cela peut entraîner la paix pour que chacun puisse vivre les Jeux sereinement, ce sera très très bien. Mais je ne sais pas quoi penser sauf espérer.
Now, as athletes from all over the world gather in Paris, France, and makes friends on the playing field and outside, it's also a special year for China and France, celebrating 60 years of diplomatic relations. Earlier, I spoke with Claude Guéant, former Minister of the Interior of France, and asked him about his views on China-France relationship. Take a listen. Talking about France's strategic autonomy, how do you think that concept is playing out when it comes to the French approach towards China? Not just now, but in the past 60 years. If you think about General Charles de Gaulle, all the way through to President Sarkozy, Hollande, and now to President Emmanuel Macron.
Yes, we know, to tell the truth, we are very old friends and allies of the United States. You belong to NATO, but France has always been wishing to be independent, and we absolutely want to choose our friends, and we really think China is a country with which we have to speak, with which we have to work, to deal and so on.
Why do you think the Chinese-French connections are so unique and so special? To borrow the word of President Xi, he thinks that we have a very special relationship.
I think there's a long history, you know. During this visit of your president, there were a lot of articles in the newspapers about very ancient links, you know, even during the 18th century. Both countries exchanged presents, for instance, and there are right now exhibitions of these presents coming at the time from China. I think there is a very old link, and it's because we really think China has a very fascinating culture. I think that's the most important thing for us, the culture. And the tremendous success of China during the 40 past years is due to culture. What's the most important strength of China? It's culture, it's education. What's wonderful is that education in 30 or 40 years has been able to educate so many engineers, doctors, lawyers, architects and so on. It's wonderful.